All right, welcome to DBC number 10. Today we're continuing with solution-focused brief therapy, and we'll be covering chapter 6, which has by far the best title of any of the titles so far, which is, quote, "This is stupid, I don't need this, and I don't want to be here," unquote, colon, space, working with adolescents. 4 topics today we're going to talk about from this chapter. Number 1 is the idea of limit setting and the solution-focused approach. Number 2, relational questions and working with families with adolescents present as the perhaps the identified client. Number 3 is a cool metaphor to use with anybody, but specifically with adolescents who feel that someone important in their life, for example, their parents, have lost hope in their ability to change their behaviors because of their past behaviors. And then a quick note at the end, number 4, on working with young children. Before we hop in, the idea of adolescence and solution-focused brief therapy really mesh well together because the idea of adolescents finding their own answers, exploring their own reasons or what will work for them, really fits well with solution-focused brief therapy and with adolescent development in general, which is a really cool alignment. And the authors give a little bit of a history about at the beginning there was a desire for a formal structure in groups, and that this is more for counselor comfort than what the clients actually have needed and will need in the future. When solution-focused brief therapy was first being developed, it was assumed that adolescents need authority and assigned topics and structure and regulation because of their lack of real-life experience. However, they found that that was actually what they had been feel like they'd get too much of it that wasn't effective for them from the clients. So number 1, we're going to talk about limit setting in the solution-focused approach. Again, another problem that they mentioned that they felt like it was okay initially to just let adolescents get away with, let's say, negative or resistant behavior or being rude to the counselor or other group members. And that, so because of that, limits were initially avoided, which did not work out very well. And in other therapies, limits are, going back to this sort of paternalistic authoritarian model. But then in solution-focused brief therapy, limits are given as a means to address the goals expressed by the group members, what is important to them and what will work and be meaningful for them. So the idea of having so-called resistant adolescents that, quote, would say something like, "I don't want to be here, this is stupid." So a good response to open up a productive dialogue there would be like, well, tell me, whose idea was it for you to be here? They were probably referred by their parents or an outside source. And then to really care about them and to respect their autonomy and their sense of self, of not wanting to waste their time. So there's kind of one of either 2 ways to go with that, is that either take this client aside, and this is again going back to having a co-therapist. It'd be great if one therapist could leave and have a one-on-one and really respect the client and emphasize that you don't want to waste their time and reflect their concerns. And then in that one-on-one session is a good time to ask a miracle question and see if they can be drawn, if we can sort of evoke a future that would be desirable for them. Or if not, while going through this, other clients might chime in about their own changes in attitude toward the group. And that's a time to explore with that other, let's say a second client's, like, well, what were the things that you noticed the difference that when you changed your outlook on what's going on here? So really cool, kind of reframing limits is not this sort of paternalistic, like, you're going to do what I say, but to reframe it as these are goals that have been expressed by the group and where we want to go. Another thing is that adolescents tend to be more attuned in general to what others will be doing differently and noticing in themselves or in the clients than what they will be doing differently. So they might come with this idea regularly of, I want X person to do Y differently or to make Y change. So the therapist can say at this point, what are they seeing that lets them know they can make that behavior change? So for example, I want my parents to let me go out later. So what would your dad or your mom be, what are they seeing in you that allows them to make that change to extend your curfew, let's say, to a later time? And so they don't mention this, but there's an avoidance of the term, what are you doing that lets them know they can change their behavior? It's what are they seeing? And it's kind of implied, what are they seeing you doing? But it's not said you. It's focusing on the adult or the other figure, which I think is a cool distinction. And it forces the client to take the point of view of someone else important in life and focus on what behaviors are they saying. Really cool. As far as limits goes, that's what they had to say. So the idea number 2 here, relational questions in working with families. So it's important to respect the client's autonomy and to ask them when they feel their family members should be involved. and to assist the family members in, we want to have them describe a miracle that they can all agree upon, because there's usually going to be some sort of authority figure in the parent that they will want their parent to, for example, have a later curfew or whatever the case may be. Back to scaling questions, is a good idea to use scaling questions with respect to the parent's confidence as a means to show the client is hearing and aware of the parent's concerns. So for example, what would your mom see? Again, what would your mom see? Not what would your mom see you doing, but what would your mom see is different about you this morning, the morning of the miracle, that she can trust that what you're doing and that you're going to be doing what you're supposed to be doing. So number 3, if adolescent client feels discouraged. So maybe someone has been really messing up for quite some time by the time they get to you. So if they feel really discouraged, the idea is to scale. So maybe they're expressing this sort of hopelessness, or like, man, I'm making these changes, which to the client is a really big thing, but my parents aren't even noticing, or no one even cares, right? Hey, here's a good response. Would you like to frame it as, hey, when you were talking, I imagined a guy or a girl in a deep or even a really deep hole, and that his goal is to get to the top of the mountain. But before he can climb the mountain, he has to get out of that hole that's at the base of the mountain. So we're framing that, and then they don't say this, but if you were to imagine, you could also add, maybe his parents aren't so close to him right now, which is probably true. And so they can't even see his progress climbing out of the hole. They're standing closer maybe to the mountain, and they just see maybe a hole over there, and they can't even see him climbing up. As a way to sort of frame the client's early progress and to scale from, let's say, from a 1 to 10 on that image or that model. If 1 is the bottom of the hole and 10 is the top of the mountain, where do you see yourself now? So maybe they're like, oh, 3. And so a 5 would be you're out of the hole already. So it's, hey, great, like there's daylight on the horizon, you're almost out of the hole, and then it's time to begin climbing the mountain. So really a cool reframe and metaphor to offer to a client who has been struggling perhaps for some time and feels that their progress is not going noticed. And one more, just final, number 4, a quick note on young children down to as young as 5 years old. Traditionally, they've been excluded from their parents' therapy, and they found here that they should be included because that they, especially children of a young age, let's say preteens down to like even 5 years old, they're really effective and honest at answering a difference question for their parents. So what is your parent doing that's making a difference to you? And that those words from such a young child will have such a deep impact on a parental figure. All right, well, that is chapter 6, dealing with adolescents and even young children. Next time, we're going to talk about how to speak French. Find out what that means next time.